When I say your spark is sacred, I am not talking about something ordinary or fragile. I am talking about that deep fire inside of you that refuses to be extinguished, even when life tries to bury you under layers of disappointment, fear, and brokenness. Every single one of us carries within us a divine flicker, a light that was breathed into us before we ever took our first step on this earth. That spark is your identity, your purpose, your voice, your dream, and your assignment. It is not something the world gave you, so the world has no right to take it away. And yet, how many times have we allowed people, systems, circumstances, or even our own doubts to dim what was meant to shine brightly? Too often we hand over our spark without realizing it. We let criticism make us second guess ourselves. We let rejection convince us that we are not enough. We let failure whisper lies that our story is over before it truly begins. But here's the truth, your spark is sacred. That means it is holy, untouchable, set apart for something greater than what your current season might suggest. Protecting it requires a choice. A bold refusal to let external noise silence your internal flame. There will be moments when people cannot see what is in you, when they underestimate your value or try to confine you to their expectations. Do not shrink just to fit their narrative. Do not dim your light just because it makes others uncomfortable. If they cannot handle the fire God placed in you, let them adjust to the brightness instead of you adjusting to their darkness. Protecting your spark means knowing that your worth is not up for negotiation, not up for debate, not dependent on applause or approval. Think about it, a spark may look small, almost insignificant, but in the right environment, it can ignite a wildfire. That is the power you carry, and the enemy of your soul knows it too. That's why the attacks come not just against your circumstances, but against your confidence, your clarity, your joy, because if he can dim your spark, he can delay your destiny. If he can convince you that your flame isn't worth protecting, he can keep you living in shadows instead of stepping into your light. But protecting your spark is more than defense. It's also about intention. It's about surrounding yourself with people who fan your flame instead of smothering it. It's about speaking life over yourself when the world only offers criticism. It's about nurturing your gift, sharpening your skills, and refusing to let laziness or distraction cause you to neglect what's inside of you. You don't protect a treasure by leaving it exposed. You cover it, you guard it, you invest in it. In the same way, you must treat your spark with reverence like the priceless gift it is. And hear me. Protecting your spark doesn't mean you will never feel tired, never stumble, never question if the flame is still there. Sometimes it will feel faint, like it's barely flickering. But faint is not the same as gone. Even when life has pressed you down and the wind has tried to blow you out, that spark remains. It may be quiet, but it is alive, waiting for you to breathe on it again with hope, with faith, with courage. There will be days when you have to remind yourself that your spark matters, even when no one else is clapping. Protecting it means refusing to give your light away to those who don't know how to handle it. It means walking boldly in the truth that you were made with intention, not by accident. It means realizing that when you protect your spark, you give others permission to protect theirs. Your courage becomes contagious. Your faith becomes fuel. Your resilience becomes a reminder that sparks lead to transformation. So tonight, I need you to walk out of here with a renewed conviction. Your spark is not random. Your spark is not common. Your spark is sacred. Protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. Struggles have a way of convincing us that the light inside of us is too fragile to last. They whisper that we are not built for the weight we carry, that our fire will burn out under the heaviness of disappointment, rejection, or hardship. And yet, if we look closely at our own stories, we realize that the very struggles we thought would bury us became the soil that grew us. They didn't put our spark out. They tested it, refined it, and taught us just how unshakable it truly is. Every person in this room knows what it feels like to wake up carrying burdens that no one else can see. Maybe it's the weight of financial pressure, the ache of broken relationships, or the sting of being overlooked when you've given your all. Maybe it's the pain of history and systems that seem to resist change, or the exhaustion of trying to rebuild when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. And yet you are still here. That means your spark has survived nights you thought would never end, seasons that seemed impossible, storms that should have drowned you. You are proof that struggles may bend you, but they cannot break the core of who you are. I know it's tempting to see struggles as signs of weakness, as proof that maybe you weren't cut out for the vision you carry. But what if I told you the presence of struggle is not a verdict against you, but evidence of the treasure within you? If you weren't carrying something valuable, the opposition wouldn't be so fierce. Pressure only comes to places where potential lives. That's why protecting your spark means refusing to let your struggles define you. They may shape you, they may stretch you, but they do not get the final say about you. You see, diamonds are created under pressure. Gold is refined by fire. Strong roots grow deep in stormy winds. And your spark, your unique flame, shines brighter after surviving battles that should have left you in ashes. The struggle is not meant to suffocate your light, but to reveal its strength. So don't mistake the fight you're in for the end of your story. It's just the middle, the refining, the stretching that prepares you for greater impact. But let me be real, protecting your spark in the middle of struggle is not easy. It requires a decision to rise when everything in you wants to quit. It means speaking life when your circumstances scream death. It means choosing faith when fear feels louder. It means refusing to hand over your flame to bitterness, anger, or despair. You have to remind yourself that the struggle is temporary, but your spark is eternal. That fire inside of you is connected to a purpose so much greater than this moment, and no storm has the authority to extinguish what was divinely placed in you. When you understand this, your perspective shifts. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me? What is this shaping in me? What part of my fire is being strengthened through this?" That doesn't mean the pain is easy, but it means it is purposeful. It means the setback is not random. It is a setup. It means your scars aren't evidence of defeat, but of survival. It means your spark isn't fragile. It's resilient. And let's talk about what happens when you endure. When you protect your spark through struggle, you become a living testimony for others who are still in the dark. Your survival becomes someone else's hope. Your endurance becomes someone else's courage. Your light reminds them that struggles are not the end. They are the proving ground. Because when people see your flame still burning after all you've been through, they begin to believe their own flame can survive too. So the next time you find yourself under pressure, remember this: your spark was built for this. It was designed to withstand storms, to outlast opposition, to shine even when the night feels endless. Struggles may come. Struggles may test you. Struggles may leave you with scars, but they cannot steal the sacred fire within you unless you let them. And you will not let them, because the truth is, you've already been through too much to give up now. You've already survived too much to hand your spark over to the weight of struggle. So instead of letting it define you, let it remind you of your resilience, your endurance, your unshakable light. Struggles may try to dim you, but they cannot put you out. When we talk about healing a nation, it can feel overwhelming, almost too big to imagine. We look at the challenges, the division, the hurt that has been carried for generations, and we wonder how healing on that scale could ever take place. But the truth is, nations don't heal all at once. Nations heal one person at a time. They heal when individuals choose to do the work of tending to their own hearts, their own wounds, their own stories. Because when you rise whole, you shift the atmosphere around you, and little by little, those ripples turn into waves that touch the world. Healing South Africa begins with healing yourself. So often, we think we have to fix everything out there before we can feel at peace in here. We think if the economy changes, if leadership changes, if systems change, then maybe our lives will feel lighter. But let me tell you, if the inside is broken, no change on the outside will ever satisfy. You can live in a beautiful house and still feel empty. You can walk on clean streets and still carry chaos in your soul. You can achieve everything you thought would make you happy, but if your heart is bleeding and your spirit is neglected, nothing will feel enough. Protecting your spark means recognizing that true transformation begins within you first. And that's not an easy thing to admit, because healing yourself requires facing what you've been running from. It means looking at your pain, your disappointments, your fears, and choosing not to bury them, but to bring them into the light. It's easy to point out what's wrong in the world, but harder to confront what's been broken in our own hearts. Yet, that's where the true work begins. A healed heart produces a healed perspective, and a healed perspective produces a healed community. Sometimes we wear masks so well that we forget we're even wearing them. We smile when we're hurting. We show strength when we're exhausted. We push through hoping no one sees how much we're carrying. But ignoring your wounds doesn't make them disappear. It just makes them grow deeper. You can't heal what you refuse to acknowledge. Protecting your spark means being brave enough to sit with your own truth, to cry the tears you've been holding back, to forgive where forgiveness has been withheld, and to release the bitterness that has been stealing your joy. Healing is not weakness. It is the greatest strength you will ever walk in, because when you heal yourself, you don't just free your own life. You free the generations that come after you. You break patterns. You rewrite stories. You show your children, your family, your community that it is possible to live whole even after being broken. Your spark burns brighter when it is not clouded by the ashes of unhealed pain. And hear me, healing is not a one-time event. It's a journey, a process, a daily decision. Some days you will feel strong, and other days you will feel like you're starting over again. That's okay. Healing is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about choosing to keep showing up for yourself, to keep choosing peace over chaos, forgiveness over resentment, growth over stagnation. The beauty of healing yourself is that it creates space for others to heal too. When you walk in wholeness, you carry an energy that impacts every room you enter. You bring calm where there was chaos. You bring hope where there was despair. You bring unity where there was division. Healing yourself is not selfish. It is the most powerful gift you can give to the people around you. Because a healed person has the capacity to love without fear, to lead without ego, to serve without bitterness. Think about what would happen if more of us chose to do this work. If more of us decided not to let our unhealed wounds dictate our choices, our leadership, our families, we would see communities transformed. We would see barriers break. We would see South Africa rising, not just because systems shifted, but because the people carrying those systems had healed hearts and clear minds. The nation we dream of begins with the version of ourselves we choose to become. So if you want to see healing in the land, start with the soil of your own heart. Nurture it, water it, protect it, and watch as the spark in you grows strong enough to light the way for others. Because when individuals rise, the nation rises. One flame by itself can light up a dark room, but when flames come together, they create a fire no darkness can ignore. That's the beauty of unity. It multiplies power. Your spark is powerful on its own. But it was never meant to burn in isolation. It was designed to connect, to join with others, to ignite something bigger than any single person could carry. That's what it means to activate South Africa. It's not about one voice or one dream. It's about a collective fire that transforms an entire nation. The danger is that so many of us have been conditioned to protect our light by keeping it to ourselves. We think that in order to stay safe, we must stay separate. We've been taught to compete instead of collaborate, to compare instead of celebrate, to tear down instead of build up. But the truth is, comparison is a thief. And competition without collaboration is a trap. If you spend all your energy guarding your flame out of fear that someone else's might outshine it, you forget that fire doesn't lose its brightness by lighting another candle. In fact, it grows stronger. Unity does not mean we all become the same. It means we bring the fullness of our individuality into a shared purpose. Your flame might be creativity, while someone else's is wisdom and another's is courage. On their own, each spark is beautiful, but when woven together, they form a blaze that cannot be ignored. That blaze is what drives communities forward, what shifts atmospheres, what breaks down walls that seemed impossible to move. We've seen too many moments where division robbed us of progress. We've seen how suspicion, envy, and fear create barriers that hold us back. But what if we stopped looking at each other as threats and started seeing one another as allies? What if instead of asking, how do I outshine them, we asked, how do I add to their fire? Imagine what South Africa would look like if we each chose to contribute our spark to the greater flame instead of protecting it in isolation. Protecting your spark doesn't mean hiding it away. It means being wise about where you place it. And one of the safest, most powerful places is in the hands of a united community. When you align your flame with others who share the vision of growth, change, and hope, your spark doesn't get lost. It gets amplified. Unity makes us stronger because it shields us from the winds of life that try to blow us out. One flame is vulnerable, but 1,000 flames together create a firestorm that no storm can overcome. And yes, unity requires humility. It requires us to admit that we need one another, that we cannot do this alone. It requires us to set aside ego, to resist the urge to carry everything on our own shoulders, and to understand that there is strength in shared responsibility. Too many of us are exhausted, not because our spark has run out, but because we've been trying to carry the load by ourselves. When we unite, the burden becomes lighter, the fire becomes brighter, and the mission becomes unstoppable. There is something deeply healing about standing shoulder to shoulder with others who are also protecting their spark. It reminds you that you're not crazy for believing change is possible. It reminds you that your flame is not too small to matter. It reminds you that you are part of a greater fire that will continue to burn even when you feel tired. In unity, we find strength we didn't know we had, courage we didn't know we carried, and hope we thought was gone. But unity also asks for intentional action. It means showing up for each other, not just in moments of celebration, but in times of struggle. It means speaking life over someone else's spark when you see it flickering. It means refusing to let jealousy, gossip, or resentment create cracks in the fire we're building together. Protecting your spark is not just about keeping your own light alive. It's about protecting the flame of your brother, your sister, your neighbor, because their fire matters to the whole. If we can grasp this truth, if we can link arms and connect our flames, then what seems impossible today becomes inevitable tomorrow. We won't just light a room, we'll light a city. We won't just inspire a neighborhood, we'll ignite a nation. And once a nation is burning with unity, there is no darkness strong enough to put it out. Every spark carries potential, but potential is only as strong as the protection you give it. There are enemies out there, thieves, that are not always loud or obvious, but they are persistent. They creep in slowly, convincing you to settle for less, to hide your light, to give up before your fire has a chance to fully burn. And if we're honest, some of these thieves aren't outside of us. They live in our thoughts, our habits, our choices. Protecting your spark requires being aware of them and refusing to hand over the treasure of your destiny. One of the greatest thieves is fear. Fear will tell you that your spark is too small, that it doesn't matter, that you'll only embarrass yourself if you try to let it shine. Fear whispers that failure is final and that you should stay safe in the shadows. But fear is a liar. Every time you let fear make your decisions, you hand over your fire. You were never meant to live dimmed down. Fear may knock on your door, but it does not have the authority to control your future unless you invite it in. Another thief is comparison. Nothing robs joy, peace, and creativity quite like measuring your flame against someone else's. Comparison says, look how bright they are. You could never shine like that. But what comparison forgets is that fire has no single form. A candle lights a table, a lantern guides the path, a torch leads the way, and a wildfire transforms the land. Every flame serves its purpose. The moment you start comparing, you stop valuing your own spark. Protecting your spark means celebrating your uniqueness and understanding that your light is enough for the assignment placed in your hands. Then there's corruption, not just in the systems around us, but also in the compromises within us. It's the thief that shows up when you trade your integrity for approval, when you bend your values just to get ahead, when you silence your truth for the sake of comfort. Corruption convinces you that shortcuts will take you further, but every shortcut costs more than it gives. Protecting your spark means choosing character over convenience, purpose over popularity, and truth over temporary gain. Your fire is too precious to be sold to the highest bidder. Hopelessness is another silent thief. It doesn't come with noise, but with a slow, steady erosion of faith. It convinces you that nothing will change. That trying doesn't matter, that the darkness is too strong. Hopelessness is dangerous because it makes you stop before you even start. But hear this, no darkness can ever overcome light. Even the smallest flame pierces through the blackest night. If you let hopelessness win, you bury your spark in ashes. Protecting your spark means feeding hope daily, even in small ways, through gratitude, through prayer, through remembering how far you've already come. But here's what I want you to see. These thieves don't have power unless you give it to them. Fear, comparison, corruption, hopelessness. They are squatters trying to occupy space in your mind and heart. The moment you decide to reclaim that space, they lose their grip. Protecting your spark requires boundaries, discipline, and courage. It means saying no to the voices that tell you you're not enough. It means being intentional about what you allow into your spirit, what you watch, what you listen to, who you surround yourself with. Because everything you consume either fuels your spark or drains it. It also means learning to stand guard even when life feels overwhelming. A spark left unprotected will always be vulnerable to the winds that try to blow it out. But when you cover it, when you nurture it, when you remain watchful, that spark has the chance to grow into something unstoppable. And remember, you are not guarding something ordinary. You are protecting the fire of your destiny. If you've lost your spark before, don't think it's gone forever. Maybe fear stole it. Maybe comparison drowned it. Maybe hopelessness buried it. But tonight you can choose to take it back. You can choose to rebuild the fire by refusing to entertain the lies that tried to smother it. You can guard it with your truth, your resilience, your faith. And when you do, those thieves will have no place in your story. Because in the end, the only way these thieves win is if you hand them the key. And tonight you're deciding that the key belongs to you. There comes a moment when protecting your spark requires more than belief. It requires movement. You cannot keep your fire alive by only thinking about it, wishing for it, or talking about it. Sparks grow into flames when they are fanned, when they are put to use, when they are activated. Too many of us are sitting on gifts, ideas, and callings, waiting for the perfect moment to begin. But let me tell you, there will never be a perfect moment. If you wait until everything feels safe and secure, you'll be waiting forever. Protecting your spark means making the decision to act, even when the path is uncertain. We live in a world that celebrates dreaming, but sometimes forgets to honor doing. Vision boards, journals, and prayers are powerful, but they are not enough on their own. They are fuel for the spark, but action is what turns that spark into a sustaining fire. There are doors waiting to be opened, but they will not move unless you step forward. There are opportunities waiting to be unlocked, but they will not appear unless you knock. Protecting your spark means refusing to let procrastination or hesitation rob you of the fire that was placed inside you for such a time as this. Activation doesn't have to look like a grand public display. Sometimes it's as simple as starting small but staying consistent. It might be choosing to wake up a little earlier to work on your vision. It might be reaching out to someone who can guide you. It might be saying no to distractions that don't align with your purpose. Every small step you take is oxygen to your spark. Don't despise the small beginnings, because every great fire started with a single spark that was fed. And let me say this, your spark wasn't given to you just for you. It carries responsibility. It carries assignment. The people around you, the generation coming after you, the nation you call home, they are waiting for you to activate what has been placed within you. When you hold back, you don't just delay yourself, you delay the healing, the inspiration, the breakthroughs that your fire was meant to bring to others. Protecting your spark means putting it to work, allowing it to serve, allowing it to light the way for someone else. Yes, activation takes courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. It's the choice to move in spite of it. Every time you act on your spark, you are telling fear it doesn't have the final word. Every time you step forward, you prove to yourself that your flame is stronger than your doubt. You don't need to see the whole path to take the first step. Protecting your spark is about trusting that as you move, the next step will reveal itself. Some of you have been waiting for validation, for someone else to recognize your flame before you feel permission to let it burn. But activation is not about waiting for applause. It's about answering the call. Don't waste your fire by keeping it on standby. Use it, speak it, build it, write it, live it. And as you do, you'll find that your spark grows stronger, not weaker through action. There will be setbacks along the way. Not every step will go the way you hoped, but action is still progress, even when it feels messy. Because failure is not the end of your spark. It's part of how it learns to endure. Protecting your spark means giving yourself permission to try, to stumble, to learn, and to rise again. You don't have to be perfect to be impactful. You just have to be willing to keep moving. Think about it. If every person in this room chose today to not only protect their spark, but to activate it, to put it into motion, imagine the fire we could create together. Imagine businesses built, communities uplifted, systems reimagined, lives transformed. The difference between potential and impact is action. Protecting your spark means refusing to let it remain potential only. So tonight, let this be the moment you stop waiting and start moving. Let this be the night you decide that your spark is worth more than hesitation, more than fear, more than delay. Because activation is not passive, it's powerful. And the future is waiting for you to ignite it.